Jeeva1 checking in here again, and today we're going to talk a little bit about my bookshelf, books that I've collected, things that I'm into. First, start right off with this book right here. I found this book when I was 14, Psychic Voyages. Found it in my English class. And this book really went in deep about astral body experiences. I mean, look at that right there. You know, outer body experiences, OBEs, they call it in here, astral body experiences. Really helping me to understand that we're not our physical body. You know, there's a guy getting up here in his little astral body. But we are actually spirit souls. Things like that. I was 14, so I kind of was interested in it. Super interested, but didn't really understand it completely. Made sense to me, though. Then I found this book right here, How to Meditate. Also, I was 14 in my high school library. I found this. And this started going into things that more like it was a science of spirituality. You know, we got things on ether and air, the elements, you know, and above the physical elements, it was thought and spirit. Also, look at this, explaining how our glands correspond to energy chakras within our body. You know, on the physical plane, we have our pancreas, our ovaries, thyroid glands. So this book, I was really into it, How to Meditate, and it got me really into even practicing meditation at night. I had some wicked experiences. That's subject matter for another time. You know, after a little while, I started understanding that Eastern, it was all coming from the East, old ancient philosophy and spirituality from India and so forth like that. Started collecting books on that. Look, we got the Laws of Manu, Upanishads, Rig Veda, Dhammapada, so many isms, Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism, Hinduism, you know, all those things is really an Eastern philosophy, thoughts, really basically explaining that, again, we're not our physical bodies, but we're more than that, and we transcend after death, and we go on, so forth like that. Let me bust one out right here. You know, those who have high thoughts are ever striving. They are not happy to remain in the same place. Like swans that leave their lake and rise into the air, they leave their home for a higher home. That's really what all this is about, you know, that I want to get out of the mundane type of thoughts. I don't collect books on whatever. I collect books on philosophy, explaining essentially me. Really, who am I? Who are you? You know? And Hinduism, just the imagery. This is a book on Hindu imagery. Ganesh, Shiva, looks like Lakshmi right there. You know, that was really interesting to me. Look at Shiva, showing him in his meditational pose. Krishna with the cow and the flute. This book was pretty cool, explaining all the Hindu imagery to me. Like, let me bust this one out right here. Look at that Kali. Look at that. A lot of people might be scared of that, thinking of Temple of Doom or something. You know, but I'm not. She's cutting off his head, and got little skulls, arms. So, but when you understand the imagery behind it, it's going to make sense. And you're going to be like, wow, this is really cool. Okay? So then I went more into actually reading what the Sanskrit, the actual books say, rather than books about it that someone says this is about it. Just read straight what it says. Look at this. Ramayana right here. The Rig Veda, hymns of the Sama Veda, Yoga Sutras, you know, the Bhagavad Gita. These are straight translations of ancient texts. You know, you don't have to read someone's interpretation. You can read it for yourself and interpret it how you see it. Also into things just like astrology. This book right here, I remember looking at this book probably when I was 10. This is my mom's book from the 60s, Venus and Virgo, you know. Table of Ascendants, Moon and Capricorn. Astrology, deep though, actually not just your sun sign, going into all of your signs. That's really cool to me. Okay? Well, what else do we got here? Oh, look over here, we have books on ancient cultures I'm into. Mayans, Incas, Aztecs, you know, pre-Columbian philosophy and pre-Columbian history. It doesn't always have to be from India. It can be anything ancient. You know, we're going to learn a little bit about ourselves through it. That's really what I believe. One of them. Look at this book right here. We have Nag Hammadi Library. Early Christianity, not what we know today, the Roman Christianity. These were what the real Christians in the beginning were studying, this kind of Neoplatonic understanding. I believe this was written in Greek at the time, but it was a very, very, very spiritual. A lot of people they know that the early Christians were vegetarian, they believed in reincarnation, all that, because in ancient times this was the understanding. This is a really important book right here. If you're into Jesus and things like that, check out that right there. You don't always have to read the Bible. Okay, we got Tibetan books of the dead. You can go deep into things on Tantra. This is a book on witchcraft right here, but it's really going into the female aspect of divinity. That's really what that's about, nature and so forth. We got little crystals popping out here, crystal awareness. I was picking up books understanding the energy and the healing principles of crystals, with your chakras, right? With your energy, your aura. Crystal handbook. What else do we got down here? Look, I even got the Torah. So, that's the first 5 books of the Bible. This is what Jews read in. So I'm going to pick that up and read about it too. Let's crawl it across the table right here. Aryan medical science. Okay. Anybody here Ayurveda? Well, Aryan, as we know, is referring to the ancient people from basically from the Indian area. It's really not Indians as we see them today, but they had whole sciences, and one of them is called Ayurveda, which is the science of healing the body, the science of food, and how it pertains to health, right? I got books on that too. Helps to find books right here from people from India. If you want something like Ayurveda, you don't want to pick it up at Whole Foods. Go to up on Devon here in Chicago. Go to the Indian bookstore. Books that are published in India are really the best for things like that. Okay, moving on. Man, even the New Age type of things. This book, honestly, I was in a trance when I read this book. The Starborn, A Remembrance for the Awakened Ones. I really couldn't even tell you really what it was about. I know on a higher level what it was about. I know exactly, but physically I couldn't explain that, articulate that to you right now. Some of the chapters here, the Starborn angels. Back at the beginning there was one but star, the star that we are. This is kind of new agey, but it's really hitting on your subconscious spiritual level. Okay, so I was interested in books like that for sure. No problem with that at all. Okay, look at this guy here. A lot of people are scared of this guy here. Old Aleister Crowley right there. Thinking it's some kind of satanic type of thing like that. But no, not at all. This is getting into always the magical side of things. The divinity and the feminine and so forth, and understanding a more broader scope of spirituality when you start getting into things like this. My brother picked this book up right here. He likes things like this. Isis Unveiled, Madame Blavatsky, Secret Doctrine. This is Theosophical books right here. Book of Enoch, old book right here. If you're a Christian, read it. Enoch, heard of him, Bible, but a lot of people don't know what this is because the Christians hide this book. This is an old book. This is an old Christian book right there, if you can call it that. Ascended Masters, Mount Shasta, out in Northern California, New Agey. But really trying to understand that there's entities, and even in Hinduism, they say this for sure, there's entities on this planet that are hundreds and hundreds of years old, ascended masters that live in secluded places that look like caves, really astral dimensions, and sometimes they pop out and teach a couple things. They're here to guide humanity through the dark age. Okay? That's transcendental magic. Look at this one. Look at this one. A lot of people might be scared of stuff like that. Not me. Super interesting. Super interesting. And along all those years, I collected, I have a little bit more than that, but these are journals, spiritual journals that I've collected. Look at this. This is back in 1998. So that's, 15 years ago? 16 years ago almost? I was writing like this. this is copying from this book right here, learning about the chakras, the kundalini, the science of spirituality. And I'm writing in here, God is one power with many names: cosmic consciousness, Krishna consciousness, Christ consciousness, higher self, super consciousness, eternal light, super soul. There's so many names to say God, really. It doesn't always have to be some man in the sky. Okay. And we can go on and on. I have so many books. Actually, a lot of my books are in Florida in storage, so this is just some of my collection, but it's enough to give an idea of things that I'm into. Really, for me, all this was culminating into understanding that there was a time before history tells us, that there was the Egyptians and then Sumerians, and before that were hunter-gathering. No, actually, all this was showing me that there's a lost civilization before that there was something happened to, but there's like thousands, hundreds of thousands of years of a super high intelligent civilization on the planet, way before what we're taught about. And to me, I found out it's called the Vedic times, you can say. Okay? So I wanted to read, is there anything left over from that? Yes, things that were written in Sanskrit, in Devanagari. So to me, everything culminating in understanding that anything written in Sanskrit was the truth. And all this, to me, are little slivers of truth. You can read about Wizard of Oz, things like that, to entertain you. That's fine. They have little things of little allegories and things that may have truth. But really what's interesting to me is, what is truth? Who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going? What are we? Things like that.